3,200,000. That is the exact number of American retirees currently locked out of their own hard-earned money. We are talking about a massive pool of retirement funds totaling $6,710 to over $22,000 per person. It is sitting right there inside the system. Yet the Social Security Administration will never pick up the phone to tell you it is yours. They will not send a certified letter to your mailbox either. Think about the cruelty of that silence. 800,000 widows across this country have seen their survivor benefits slashed down to $0. Zero. This is money their late spouses spent decades paying into the system through payroll taxes. Those workers expected their families to be protected. Instead, their surviving partners are left with nothing but a monthly statement that mocks their sacrifice. The Social Security Fairness Act was supposed to end this nightmare. It became law to wipe out decades of unfair penalties. The billions of dollars are officially approved. The back pay is real. But right now in 2026, a massive administrative bottleneck is keeping that money frozen. If you were born before 1963 and spent your career as a teacher, a firefighter, a police officer, or worked 2 jobs, you are the prime target of a hidden deduction system. There are exactly 3 steps you must take to force the government to release your cash. Most people have no idea these steps even exist. Step number 3 is the absolute key. If you miss that single step, the system will automatically deny your claim and bury your file. We're going to unpack exactly how to execute that step today. For over 40 years, the federal government has relied on 2 laws to legally drain your retirement accounts. They are called the Windfall Elimination Provision and the Government Pension Offset, WEP and GPO. The Windfall Elimination Provision targets anyone who worked a public service job but also paid into Social Security through a second job or private sector employment. The government built a formula that slashes your personal Social Security retirement benefit by up to 50%. That translates to a direct loss of $480 to $587 every single month. Then comes the Government Pension Offset. This one is aimed directly at your household survival. If you receive a public pension from your own career as a civil servant, the GPO cuts your spousal or widow benefits by 2/3 of your pension amount. If your teacher pension is $1,500 a month, the government chops $1,000 off your Social Security survivor benefit. If your survivor benefit was $1,000 to begin with, you now get $0. Go to any local Walmart or grocery store early in the morning. Look at the people stocking shelves or standing at the cash registers. Many of them are 70-year-old retired educators and former municipal workers. They are not working shifts on their feet because they want a hobby. They are there because $500 a month was stripped from their checks by a calculator algorithm hidden deep inside a government mainframe. The name Windfall Elimination Provision sounds like it is stopping wealthy people from gaming the system. It implies someone is getting an unfair double payout. But look at the data. Over 60% of the people devastated by these penalties are low-income civil servants. We are talking about school cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and teacher aides. These are people who never earned 6-figure salaries. They are the ones bearing the heaviest financial burden of this law. Consider the profound hypocrisy of this setup. Over 1 million public school teachers across the United States are currently penalized. They chose a career dedicated to educating children. They accepted lower pay because they believed the promise of a secure retirement. The reward for that dedication is a systemic penalty that treats their service like a financial crime. For 40 long years, Congress ignored this issue. Public sector unions filed petitions. Retirees traveled to Washington to testify before committees. More than 300 separate bills were introduced to repeal WEP and GPO. Every single one of them was quietly buried in committees or allowed to expire without a vote. Representatives and senators gave speeches expressing sympathy, then did nothing. That multi-decade stalemate finally broke because the financial pressure on families became completely unsustainable. The Social Security Fairness Act completely changed the legal landscape. The law explicitly eliminated both WEP and GPO. More importantly, it included a retroactive back pay provision. This means your eligibility for full benefits does not just start moving forward. It rolls back. The Congressional Budget Office has run the official numbers on this change. The scale of the money involved is staggering. The government is projected to pay out $196 billion over the next 10 years. That is why your individual back pay is so high. When you calculate the months of withheld funds that are now legally yours, you get a massive lump sum payment. Take the real case of a retired firefighter named Robert from California. Robert retired after 30 years of public service. He also had 12 years of private construction work on his record. For years, the WEP penalty ate away at his monthly income. When the legal changes went into effect, Robert did not wait for the bureaucracy to move. He actively forced his file open. 2 months ago, the system deposited $14,200 of retroactive back pay directly into his bank account. Robert is not an isolated exception. He is the blueprint. But his success only happened because he understood that the system is under extreme duress. The Social Security Board of Trustees recently issued their updated financial projections. Paying out this $196 billion to rightful owners will accelerate the depletion of the Social Security Trust Fund by roughly 1 full year. This financial reality creates an unspoken conflict of interest. The agency is facing a massive funding crunch down the road. They are not incentivized to make this payout process simple or automatic. Every dollar that stays unclaimed inside the system helps stretch their dwindling reserves just a little bit further. They are counting on you to remain passive. Let us map out exactly where you stand so you can determine if your money is currently trapped. You do not need to memorize a long list of 40 or 50 states. The impact of these penalties is heavily concentrated. 5 specific states account for over 60% of all weapon GPO victims nationwide. Those states are California, Texas, Ohio, Massachusetts, and Illinois. If you spent your career in any of these 5 locations, your risk of being penalized is extraordinarily high. We can divide the affected population into 3 distinct categories. You need to identify which group fits your life story. Group number 1 consists of career public servants. This includes teachers, police officers, and municipal workers who worked in a district or state that opted out of the Social Security system for their government work. Group number 2 is the dual earner category. This applies to people who spent 15 or 20 years in a corporate office paying standard payroll taxes, then switched to a public service role later in life. It also covers public employees who ran a small business or did freelance consulting on weekends to make ends meet. If you managed to secure your 40 quarterly credits for Social Security while holding down your government job, you are in this group. Group number 3 is the surviving dependents. This group is made up of widows and widowers whose deceased spouses were the ones holding the public service pensions. If your late partner was a police detective or a high school principal, you are automatically tied to this specific classification. The common thread across all 3 groups is a system that penalizes public service. If you spent your life working for a private corporation, your retirement calculation is straightforward. The government rewards your longevity. But the moment you step forward to protect a community or teach a classroom, the system changes the rules. It tracks your multiple income streams and uses them as a justification to reduce your monthly check. Now look at what is happening inside the processing centers right now. The Office of the Inspector General just released a highly critical audit of the Social Security Administration. The findings are deeply troubling for anyone waiting on a check. The audit revealed that human workers apply the wrong calculation formula in 15 to 22% of all complex retirement cases. The software systems processing these claims are remarkably outdated. Many of these digital frameworks rely on programming architecture developed decades ago. When a case involves both a local government pension and a federal Social Security, record the system frequently glitches of. This creates a phenomenon known as the half fix. In 2026, nearly 30% of all automated adjustments are failing to pay out the full amount. The computer system successfully removes the WEP penalty because it sees the primary employment record, but it completely overlooks the GPO calculation on the spousal benefit side. The retiree receives a small bump in their monthly check and assumes their account is settled. In reality, thousands of dollars of back pay remain completely locked away in the system. The Social Security Administration operates under a rigid set of internal rules known as the Program Operations Manual System. Inside this massive compilation of bureaucratic guidelines is a policy that works directly against your financial interest. It clearly states that agency employees are under no legal obligation to reach out to you to correct a systemic calculation error. If the computer system clips your benefit by $300 too much, the staff will not flag it. They will not send an alert. The money simply stays in the general fund. The situation is even worse for widows and widowers who applied for benefits years ago. If you walked into a Social Security office in 2022 and were handed a formal denial letter because of the GPO penalty, your file was closed. The agency computer network does not possess an automated system to scan old denied claims and reopen them under the new law. Your old application is treated as a dead file, unless you physically walk back into an office and initiate a brand new filing process. That money will remain untouched forever. Consider the stark double standard in how our financial system handles transactions. If you underpay your federal taxes by $50, the Internal Revenue Service will flag your account within weeks. They will generate automated letters. They will tack on interest and penalties. They will track you down to ensure the government receives its money. But when the government owes you $22,000 in retroactive retirement, benefits, the rules of engagement reverse. The burden of proof falls entirely on an elderly citizen navigating a maze of dead ends. The agency is betting on your exhaustion. They know that the average phone call to their national hotline involves a staggering wait time. Only 42% of people who dial that main number ever manage to speak with a living human being on their first attempt. The rest are greeted by busy signals or automated messages that instruct them to call back later. It is a war of attrition designed to make you settle for whatever low amount currently appears on your monthly bank statement. You do not have to accept their silence. You can break through this administrative wall if you understand the precise steps required to force a manual review of your account. The process begins on your computer. You must go directly to the official website at ssa.gov and log into your personal profile. Do not rely on old paper statements you received in the mail years ago. Once you are inside your digital portal, you need to pull up your full earnings history and click on the Detailed Benefit Estimate tab. Scroll past the big bold numbers at the top of the page. Look down at the fine print footnotes near the bottom. You are searching for a specific phrase that reads Windfall Elimination Provision Reduction Applied or Government Pension Offset Calculation Active. If you see those phrases listed on your 2026 profile, you have just found your smoking gun. That text proves the system is still applying the old penalizing formulas to your account. Write down the exact dollar amount they are subtracting from your potential monthly maximum. This number is your leverage. The second step requires avoiding the telephone entirely. Do not waste hours listening to hold music on the national hotline. You need to print out your online statement showing the penalty notice and take it directly to your closest local Social Security office. Timing is everything when dealing with these field locations. Never show up on a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon. Mondays are overwhelmed with people resolving weekend emergencies, and Fridays are plagued by low staffing levels. The absolute best window to get a clerk's undivided attention is Tuesday through Thursday, between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The morning rush has cleared out, and the staff is focused on clearing the remaining daily queue. When your number is called and you sit down at the window, you must not launch into a long emotional story about your career or your frustrations with the government. The claims representatives hear stories all day long, and they are trained to process forms. You need to speak their language to get immediate results. Hand the clerk your printed statement and deliver your phrase clearly. You must say, I am requesting a formal request for reconsideration based on the retroactive legislative implementation of 2025. These specific words change the entire nature of your interaction. You are no longer an applicant asking a vague question. You are a citizen invoking a specific legal protocol that requires a formal written response. If you are a widow dealing with an old denied claim, your phrase is slightly different, but even more critical. You must tell the agent at the window, I need to file a new initial application for survivor benefits because my previous case was excluded from automated re-adjudication under the GPO repeal. This forces the clerk to open a completely clean digital workspace instead of just reading the old denial notes on your screen. The clerk will likely try to tell you that the system updates automatically, and you just need to wait for the computer to cycle through its updates. Do not accept this answer. Request the specific form known as SSA 561. Fill it out right there at the counter. This document officially pulls your file out of the automated computer loop and places it onto the desk of a human supervisor for a mandatory manual review. Once that form is stamped and entered into the system, the agency is legally required to audit your entire employment history. They must cross-reference your public pension with your private sector earnings credits. If the supervisor verifies that you are a victim of the old WEP or GPO deductions, they must calculate your back pay all the way back to the effective start date of the new law. That is how you unlock the lump sum payment. Think about what that money represents. For a retired teacher or a former police officer, a check for $14,000 is not fun money for a vacation. It is security. It is the ability to pay off a high-interest medical debt. It is the freedom to repair a leaking roof without draining your emergency savings. It is the money that you already earned through decades of alarm clocks, missed family dinners, and public service. We are living in an era where the rules governing your retirement shift constantly. Tax laws change. Inflation eats away at the purchasing power of your fixed income. The government updates its internal operating systems without explaining how those updates affect your day-to-day survival. No one is going to come to your house to hand you a pamphlet explaining your specific rights under the new legislation. That responsibility belongs entirely to you. Is it acceptable for a nationwide retirement system to sit on billions of dollars of approved funds while millions of seniors struggle to pay their monthly bills? The money belongs to the workers who built this country. It does not belong to a government trust fund looking to balance its books on the backs of public servants. Take 20 minutes this week to log into your account and check your status. See exactly what the system is hiding from you. If you found these specific steps and phrases useful, please consider hitting the subscribe button. This channel is dedicated to tracking these quiet regulatory changes and breaking them down into real actionable steps for your household. The system will not explain your benefits to you, but we will. Please share this video with at least one person you know who is over the age of 60. A single share could be the exact trigger that helps a retired neighbor or family member claim the thousands of dollars they are legally owed. The administrative gridlock at the Social Security Administration has deeper structural roots than simple red tape. Every regional processing center is currently buried under a mountain of backlogged cases because the agency lost over 10% of its frontline staff during the past 3 fiscal years. When you submit Form SA 561, you are pushing your file to the top of a very slow-moving stack. The manual review process is thorough, but it requires constant vigilance from the claimant. You must maintain a paper trail of your interaction with the field office. When you submit your request for reconsideration at the window, always ask the representative for a stamped copy of the receipt showing the date and time of submission. Store this receipt in a secure folder at home. If your digital profile on ssa.gov does not update to show an active pending review status within 45 days, this physical document is your proof that the process was officially initiated. While you wait for the manual audit to complete, you can actively verify your own employment credits to ensure the supervisor uses the correct data. The WEP calculation was originally tied to the number of years you had substantial earnings under Social Security covered employment. Substantial earnings numbers change every calendar year based on national wage indexes. For example, the substantial earnings threshold was $26,550 in 2022 and rose to $31,200 by 2024. Many school districts and municipal payroll departments used outdated reporting codes when transmitting yearly earnings records to the federal database during the late 1990s and early 2000s. If your earnings during those years fell just $50 short of the official threshold on the government screen, you lose credit for that entire year of coverage. A supervisor performing a manual review can correct these rounding errors if you provide your old paper W-Form 2s from those specific employment periods. Digging through old tax documents in your attic or filing cabinet may feel like a tedious chore, but the financial return on that time investment is substantial. Finding just 2 missing years of substantial earnings can shift your calculation bracket and boost your retroactive lump sum check by an extra $2,000. The system operates on cold hard math, and it will not grant you the benefit of the doubt unless you present the physical evidence. The battle over the government pension offset requires an equally detailed approach to documentation. If you are filing as a surviving spouse, you must secure an official statement from your late partner's public retirement system showing the exact date their pension began and the gross monthly amount before any health insurance deductions were made. The Social Security computer system frequently pulls the net income figure instead of the gross income figure, which results in an incorrect 2/3 offset calculation. If the agent at the local office claims they cannot process your request because your late spouse passed away before the new legislation was signed into law, you must politely challenge that assertion. The repeal of the GPO was designed to rectify the systemic denial of survivor benefits regardless of the date of death. The critical factor is whether you, as the living beneficiary, are receiving a reduced monthly check or a $0 payment right now in 2026. The resistance you encounter at the local level is often the result of inadequate training rather than deliberate malice. Frontline claims representatives are forced to memorize thousands of pages of changing regulations every season. They are often unfamiliar with the specific retroactive nuances of the Social Security Fairness Act because they spend the bulk of their days processing standard disability applications and Medicare enrollment forms. By arriving at the window with your specific phrases and completed paperwork, you are essentially guiding the worker through their own system. If your local field office remains uncooperative or fails to provide a written decision, within 90 days, you have the legal right to escalate your case through your congressional representative's Constituent Services Department. Every member of the House of Representatives and the Senate employs a dedicated staff member whose sole job is to resolve issues between citizens and federal agencies. When a congressional staffer contacts the Social Security Administration Liaison Office on your behalf, your file is flagged with a high priority tracking number that bypasses the standard regional queue. Do not allow the complexity of these rules to intimidate you into walking away from your money. The federal government spent decades enjoying the financial cushion provided by the WEP and GPO deductions, while public servants absorbed the losses. The law has officially shifted to your side, and the funds have been allocated in the federal budget. Claiming your share is not a matter of asking for a favor or a handout, it is a matter of enforcing the law. Take control of your retirement profile this week. Log into the portal, print out your earnings statement, and check those footnotes for the deduction markers. If you have already successfully navigated this process and received your back pay share, your experience in the comments section below to help give others the confidence to take action. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel for continuous updates on retirement legislation, and click the share button to send this video to a fellow public servant who spent their life working for their community.